What's up, everybody? Dan Warmby with Keller Williams, West Ventura County here. Hope everybody's doing great. So this week I've really been getting a lot of questions around market timing and when and if the market is going to crash. Google reported last week that the search term "when is the housing market going to crash" spiked 2,450% in the last month. It's not surprising given that 42% of listings are closing over list price and days on market are effectively at zero. I think we all have kind of a collective trauma when it comes to the housing market after 2006, but it's important to remember that there were much different market mechanics that made such a dramatic swing in value possible in the first place. After the dot-com crash of 2001, the feds made a bunch of structural changes to how the lending markets worked and made it possible for people who had not been qualified for home mortgages before to be able to purchase, in some cases, multiple homes. They needed to spur consumer spending to keep that crash from getting any worse. So they loosened underwriting rules to what, in retrospect, was a pretty crazy amount. That's really not the case anymore. Underwriting rules have gotten way stricter in the past few years. So what's leading people to search for answers about a possible market crash? Well, I have a few ideas. First of all, it's important to remember that we basically missed out on a decade of new construction after the Great Recession. And that lack of inventory has created and been a driving force in the market dynamics ever since. That lack of inventory means that a seller's equity has really been driven up, but when they sell, they're buying back into a pricey market. So when you look at a long-term housing price chart, you'll see these oscillations after 2008. To me, it looks like where people used to relocate in kind of a linear fashion based on life circumstances, they're now moving in like cohorts. People see their neighbors moving and list their homes, putting more inventory on the market. That inventory is snapped up quickly by all the pent-up demand in buyers. The market overheats a little bit and buyers get discouraged after missing out on a few bidding wars, and they stop looking. Later listings sit on the market a bit longer and sellers start to worry that they missed out on an opportunity to cash out at a peak and try to catch the tail end of it. And that bumps the inventory back up and the cycle continues again. It looks like this happens in about 6 to 12 month cycles looking at the data. What's different this time, and I think why a lot of people are getting flashbacks to the Great Recession, is the pandemic really threw jet fuel on this cyclical dynamic. By shutting down basically all transactions for at least a month, we've spiked pent-up demand, and that combined with the Feds bumping interest rates and offering other buyer incentives has put a ton of upwards pressure on housing prices. I don't see this precipitating a crash, though. I think it'll just dissipate as the vaccination rates increase and it'll track the overall recovery. Ultimately, I bet it's going to look just like a slightly larger lump on the chart, just like we've been seeing for over a decade now. Well, I hope all that helps. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or just shoot me a line directly. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have an awesome rest of your week, everybody.